Many people think that sales is like WWE wrestling doubles, where an SE cannot speak until the salesperson tags him, or the other way around. Whereas sales is more like tennis doubles, where the right person makes the right play at the right time. There is no turns. We're going to talk about how you can make your sales team's discovery a little bit more effective.
Well, thank you so much for your time today. We have 5 minutes left. Ramsey, did you have any questions?
Yeah, gonna need more than 5 minutes. I've sat through many discovery calls where I can see the salesperson and the SE right there together, working against each other instead of working together to get the information that they need to get. At, at worst, they're working against each other. At best, they're just trying to stay out of each other's way. The sales team then leaves the call. They don't have all the information they need. They don't know who's going to do what. Is there enough information to do a demo? Is there enough information to bring in a specialist? Nobody knows. Also, they didn't get the chance to build a relationship with the customer because it was more of an interrogation where you have the salesperson asking all the questions and then the SE asking all the questions. Or the customer is expecting a customized demo, but the sales team didn't have any information to begin with, and the expectation was not set that this is going to be a conversation, not a pitch. So here are a few things that you can do to make sure that the sales team has an effective demo. Set the expectation with the customer. Customers don't want to waste their time. They want to go in, they want to see the product, they want to make a decision, move on with their lives. The problem is many vendors don't sell one product, and we don't know which product to show the customer. We don't know what problems the customers have in order to show them the right solution for them. So we always have to tell the customer ahead of time, like, this is not a demo. This is more of a discussion so we can understand your problem and give you some information about how we can help. I know in some situations the customers want to see the demo, in which case you'd have to do a disco demo, but there still has to be an expectation set that we need to gather information first before we do a demo. And if you want to see the demo at the same time, it's not going to be customized. It'll be general. We might have to go and do another demo in the future that would help you visualize your problem or the solution to your problem. And setting the expectation is especially important when you're working through partners, because now you have a man in the middle or a woman in the middle who is talking to the customer directly. So you can't set the expectation with the customers, and partners are even worse than customers because they want to sell as fast as possible. They're not doing the work, and they don't understand the amount of work it takes to sell your product potentially. So they just bring you in, do the demo, and that's the expectation they set with the customer. If you're a sales team, you're going to have to set the expectation with the partner to set the expectation with the customer. I know it's a lot of expectations being set, but it has to be set in order to be successful within the sales process and for the customer to be successful in the buying process and beyond. Once the implementation starts, they want the right solution. Forget the presentation.
All right, now that we went through the 100-slide corporate overview, I'd like to pass it over to my SE, Ramsey. Ramsey? What are we talking about today?
There's a trend going on right now where the salesperson or SE brings up a presentation and say, oh, don't worry, we only have 100 slides. Haha, I'm joking, it's only 20. We talked last week about anchoring. You just anchored high and went to 20 slides, so that's great. You're learning what anchoring is, but slides are slides. They're still boring. And if you're doing a slide in a discovery call, you're presenting, you're pitching. And it's a crutch to gather some information which will be incomplete. You have to be able to have a conversation with the customer. And if you're using the slides to have that conversation, that's a crutch. If you're using it to present, what are you presenting? You don't know what the problem is. So forget the presentation. Have a goal in mind. The goal is always to sell. We want to close the deal. But that's not always possible, especially in the first meeting. And the goal will change. The goal will change if there's a salesperson meeting the customer on their own or an SE meeting the customer on their own or as a team. It also changes if the sales team is meeting a decision maker, a champion, influencer. All this will change. If you're meeting a decision maker, then maybe the goal is to push the deal forward so you can actually do a demo on the next call. If you're meeting a champion, the goal could be to help him set up a call with the decision maker so you can have another discovery call with the decision maker. There is no consensus on what the next best step is. That's something you'd have to agree with the customer, but you'd have to have a goal in mind so that you can ask for that at the end of the call. And the goal should be discussed within the sales team members. We already talked about the sales team having the salesperson and an SE. You could also have a specialist. You can have a product manager. The sales team is not just two people. You can have someone from support because you're working on a issue within the post-sales world that's affecting a future deal. What is the goal of this meeting? Everybody should know and everybody should be working together to achieve that goal. And if you miss the goal, you'd have to see if it is acceptable or not. If you missed it by saying, you know what, talk to me in 6 months, that's a bad result. But if you missed the goal by instead of pushing for a proof of concept, you got a demo instead, that could be an acceptable result. So you can have the best case goal, worst case goal, and most likely goal. Understand what information you need to uncover together. The salesperson needs to uncover these things. The SE needs to uncover these things. Like we said earlier, it's not WWE tag team. It's not the salesperson asking questions about these things. They stop, and then the SE does about their thing. We're talking at the same time with the customer. The customer is asking us questions, which help us to uncover some stuff. We're having a conversation, and throughout this conversation, we're uncovering things. An SE can ask questions that helps an AE uncover things that they need to know, and vice versa. And when you see that working within your sales team, then you know you have an unstoppable sales team. Most people don't have that. Most people are either taking turns, it's very choppy, it's not fluid. That is something to aspire to as a sales team, to work together to uncover information, not to work separately to uncover information.
Yeah, no, good question. We'll have to get back to you on that.
3 hours later.
We'll have to get back to you on.
Know your stuff, or know who you need to bring in. We talked earlier about not doing a presentation. One reason that salespeople and SEs use presentations is as a crutch because they don't know their stuff. They have to actually remind themselves or use the slides as discussion points. But as a sales team, SE and sales, you have to know your stuff because that will help you speed up the process. A generalist SE has mile-wide knowledge and inch-deep knowledge of the solutions and products. AE is usually less, but you should be able to know the discussion points. You should be able to hold a conversation. You should be able to know what questions to ask. And if there's a specialist that you can get involved, you need to know who that is and what are the information they need before they get involved. Keep in mind that if you're working with specialists, you're not the only sales team working with that specialist or asking for that specialist's attention. They're going to be helping other sales teams, and whatever information you can provide ahead of time for the specialist, the easier it is for you, and the better you can convince them to come and help you instead of helping somebody else. And the more answers you can give on the call, the less you have to get back to them on it, the faster the sales cycle will go through. Practice. We're talking about practice, man. If you don't get that reference, I'm old. We're talking about how sales teams can work together. But if we don't practice that, we're practicing live in front of the customer, and that usually means you're making mistakes in front of the customer. So we have to have time set aside for us to learn how to work together in a safe space where we are allowed to make mistakes, we're allowed to try different things, and give feedback to each other safely. I mentioned earlier, the sales team is usually made up of sales and SEs. And if anyone's familiar with Chris White's 6 Habits of Highly Effective Sales Engineers, they know that habit number 1 is partner. The first thing he talks about, partner. You need to partner with your salesperson. The salesperson needs to partner with their SEs. If they're tied 1-to-1, they should end up like Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan. Again, I think you should know that reference at least. And having a good relationship, good working relationship at least, can improve the practice, can improve knowing the goals, can improve working together. Take Kobe and Shaq, for example. Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal. When they had a good working relationship, they weren't friends, but they weren't enemies. They were working together because they had a common goal. They were winning. They won 3 championships in a row. When their working relationship turned bad, that's when they started losing. So if you have a good relationship with your salesperson as an SE, or your product manager, or your solution specialist, or as a salesperson if you have a good relationship with everybody else. That will help you do better on the calls, do better discoveries, do better demos. It will help you with all aspects of your job of closing deals and making commission. So if this video was useful for you and you want to see what a great SE looks like, check out this video right here. And if you want to hear some of the podcasts that I've done in the past, check out this video right there. And that hurt my shoulder. So I hope you appreciate this. I'm not crying. You're crying. Get back to work.